ugh. So
Get up.
Whoa, yay.
Like he was on a roller coaster.
Dude, I would have loved to have been like in the studio when he recording that song.
Shit. Like, yeah, I like how you started it. Do that again.
Can you do some more of those? Ugh.
Yeah. I don't feel like there was like any like critiquing of like, yo, like it was kind of like once you're, I guess, a basketball player, you don't have to get your raps critiqued.
Yeah, I mean when you're putting down the bags because you've got your bag,
right?
You got
your
entourage.
Someone's like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, a lot of yes men, but I got to say he was better than I expected. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But Lonzo Ball, he had a couple bars. Who knows? Maybe he had a homie write them for him. Maybe you can.
I've heard other songs that I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah.
And like, actually, it was that one sounded funny to me. Was my first instinct, but like, I'm still like, shit's good.
Game recognized game.
Way to go, yo.
Did you ever watch the show, Ball in the Family?
I did for a little bit.
Yeah, me and my brother were loving it for a minute.
Loved it, dude.
Yeah.
I thought it was hella funny. It started getting, a little drama heavy.
Oh yeah.
And I tiptoed out, but I thought it was cool.
I felt like it actually influenced me with like my own, especially with like editing for comedy, because they do this thing in the show where they do it all the time. I think they overdo it, but like someone will say something and then they'll put the words up as if it's like this epic quote, like it's super deep, and it's not, because those guys are all hella shallow.
Yeah.
But like it's hella fun. Like it makes it funnier to see like, oh, you think that's worth putting up in words?
Yeah.
So like that's something now that like in my own, like seeing how that plays from like the the audience perspective, like that's now a tool that I can like use.
Yeah. I feel like they got an untouched depth though. I feel like the way the show was produced too was very like shallow level of, but it's like I think that the way that they produced it or the way that they like set it up made it like very like slapstick kind of. It
seemed almost like it was a cousin or something, like it was like in the family, someone they knew, they hired,
put together the show. It
wasn't like the most professional level of like direction or, but that almost like lent it this natural quality that made it like interesting.
A little home video-y, which was cool.
For sure. I can't believe like one thing that always strikes me about like NBA players is like how you can make it to the league with such a terrible diet. Like those dudes eat like McDonald's and
hella
pizza,
like waffles.
They like went to China. All they did was eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like just imagine if they were like,
if they were
eating
nutrients,
really good nutrition,
them, not like super processed foods. A lot of it has to do with probably how much they were working out, where they were able, not to say that then you don't need to eat better food, but that probably helped just the process of like, because those dudes were just hooping, running, eating, hooping, running, eating, chilling, making music, apparently, kicking it. But like I could see that is a funny, like, I think that's a development that happens in the league, is you grow to know like, oh, like I got to take care of my body. I got to, eat the right foods, recovery,
stretch,
all that. When you're 18, 19, you're just like,
you don't want to hear that.
No, you're like pizza, like cool. I'm ready.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing too, to see, like, I would just think like if I was in the league,
that's the best place to start.
Yeah. I love that. I love that train of thought. I feel like yoga, man. Like I would just do so much yoga every day.
Yeah.
And it's always amazes me, like when I was growing up, I just assumed like everybody stretches, everybody takes really good care of their bodies. But then you come to find out like so many people just are like white knuckling it and just pushing and
just permanently in pain.
Yeah.
Permanently sore.
Totally. And that's, almost more impressive in some ways, I guess.
Yeah, that's a sadder reality, though. We're rooting for people's bodies to be feeling good.
I mean, it makes you think, like, what does Wiggins do? A player like Wiggins who gets so many I mean, he's played so many. He's so healthy. He stays so healthy.
Right. His durability. Yeah, I would guess he does some yoga.
Right.
I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, he has that sleepy look in his eyes in some games.
I would guess he's on his stretching. I would guess he's, drinking his water.
Yeah.
Jumping in the ocean. I bet you he's on all that.
When you were playing in college, did you notice, did your diet change? Were you?
Yeah.
How did that look?
It was you were just, when I was playing at College of Marin, it was probably the most intense practices and training that I've ever done.
Keep talking. I'm just going to adjust this down.
It was like we would be doing 3.5 hour practices, be it track or weight room, and then in the gym. So when we would get home, it would be just fuel up. And so it would be hella pasta, and I was lucky to be living at home, so didn't even have to really make my own meals as much. Mom would just be, a whole big thing of pasta or just some protein too, some chicken, all that. But it changed when Luke became or recognized that he was gluten intolerant, and then also dairy free, lactose intolerant. And so we went on a gluten-free diet for a bit, and that was kind of early in the gluten-free thing, where it felt like the substitution for gluten, gluten-free bread, was almost not, it was almost just as bad or worse for you than the little bit of the other way. So we tried that for a while. But yeah, then the alternatives the waffles that you would eat that were gluten free weren't any better than the other ones. So
just put different filler in it.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of that early gluten free stuff, I wasn't gluten intolerant, but when I would eat that stuff, it made me feel like the symptoms of celiac.
yeah.
I'd be like, man, I feel like my stomach's all gassy.
Yeah, my stomach kind of gurgly.
Yeah, this is not good shit.
Yeah, no, so definitely that was the case with me too, where I was I tried it, and then I was okay, it's not for me. But yeah, mostly just ate a lot. It was because I was trying to gain weight, or just try to keep weight.
Yeah,
because we were just moving a lot.
Yeah, did you feel a change in just what it meant to take in calories? Did your body feel different eating food, or was there a change in that experience?
Yeah, I never was aware of calories until I got to college, and it was that would be part of the off-season training. Would be you should put on 10 pounds, and then it would be oh, how do I do that? And then it would be well, you could eat, track your calories, make sure you're eating all these eggs or whatever, however you get there. But for me, I was never able, I watched my brother Skylar gain hella weight through eating a lot of eggs, an unhealthy amount of eggs probably, but I was never able to gain weight like that, or haven't been able to yet. And that's part of,
I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah, right.
People are listening right now oh.
Yeah, everyone's oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, I haven't been able to gain good weight.
It's my cross to bear.
Yeah. I've been able to gain, the weight I don't want. I'm down 25 pounds right now from December. And
damn.
And so that was, my weight has fluctuated in that way. If I start working out, my body adapts to it pretty quick. But I've never been able to gain, I'm trying to gain 10 pounds in my legs and 10 pounds on my upstairs. And 20 pounds for me would be huge. That would be a big difference in terms of my explosion and just I have wiry strength, but if I was able to
have some muscle mass,
I had some muscle mass, I can move around a little bit more. So that's still a journey I'm on. It's okay, that would be cool. I don't really know how to do it yet. I think eat a lot and lift a lot, but I've been running a lot, so it all cancels it out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's more information, of course, than ever about directing your nutrition for certain objectives, right?
Yeah.
Or certain outcomes. And I've even heard that like structuring your meals during certain times in the day, like knowing what to eat when, like your system goes through different cycles throughout your waking hours.
Yeah.
And it's not as simple as just like eat X, X, and X.
No.
But I also think like one thing I've noticed, because I've done like experiments with like going like grain free, or like my body feels best when I'm eating like meat and vegetables, and like, but I love bread. I love bread.
Yeah.
So like when I have done that and I'm trying to be on a strict diet, I feel like it changes my psychology, and I get a little harder on myself, and maybe sometimes on other people too. Like, I think discipline is like a double-edged sword sometimes.
Yeah.
It has the potential to it can sharpen like so much, but you also got to like keep the compassion that like discipline's your thing.
Check your judgment.
Yeah.
At the door. Yeah.
Because I do find that like if I get too deep in the discipline game, like I'll start like, getting on my brother. Like,
hey, why are you eating that?
Yeah, like come on, man.
Yo.
Like we all try. Like I'm on this growth path.
Yeah,
you gotta
why'd
grow
you
too.
bring these cookies in the house, yo?
Totally,
you know I'm gonna eat them.
Yeah,
I'm on that all the time. I get on my
critical.
family.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
yo, like I didn't buy these cookies, but y'all they're in front of me,
totally
talking to me. No, yeah. I mean, I started doing so for my 28th birthday, I think that was. I wanted everyone in my family to give me a presentation on like something that they knew or were interested about, and they wanted to like do a little PowerPoint or a little presentation and talk about it. And my mom did one on apophagy and the process of your body using like all of its fuel, and like kind of like what I took from her presentation was like giving your body long enough stretches between eating to use everything that you put into it, so that then it can like clean out its like cells and like kind of just like a full like system overload of being able to like use what you put in and then get ready for your next like meal or whatever.
Was that like intermittent fasting? Or?
Exactly. So it was intermittent fasting, and she's been on it. And so I just, kind of followed her lead on that one, and was like, okay, like while I was trying to lose weight, just got on the intermittent fasting, and that little bit of discipline kind of gave me some momentum just to like focus my days more, where it was like, all right, I'll just have, like a warm like beverage that's maybe not coffee the first thing in the morning, and then like wait till lunch to eat, and not even breakfast up, and just go, and then not eat anything after 10, because those snack hours for me, that's where I was gaining all my weight.
Oh yeah.
It was just the after 10 munchies that were just like
cheese popcorn.
Yeah, dude, cheesy.
Dude, that's my
cheesy
that's my
popcorn, yo.
That Yaya's, I go hard.
Yeah,
on Yaya's.
Cheesy popcorn will get you. So it was that, dude. It was all that stuff was the stuff.
That's impressive. Like intermittent fasting without doing coffee.
Yeah,
because to me that's like the only way I could do it, because coffee is kind of an appetite suppressant for me.
Totally.
So like I could like I think I kind of do it sometimes without trying to, because I'll like
just
eat dinner and I'll stay up late and then I'll sleep in.
Yeah.
And I won't eat till like some days like 2 or 3 p.m. Like today I think I had breakfast at like 3:30.
Yeah, I was wondering when you said, after your interview, you were like, I haven't had breakfast. And I was like, all right, I thought maybe you were fasting right there.
Right. Like some days, like shoot days too, if I'm trying to get things together for a podcast or for a production, like, I'll just go on coffee and I'll be fine. Like I almost have more energy than if I'm trying to digest something heavy.
Yeah.
But,
I was definitely drinking coffee too. That was like something that I learned like from a buddy that I was working with, who was like telling me like, oh, maybe the first thing you put in your body shouldn't be coffee. But it was like, okay, like I was just drinking the espresso black then and not putting oat milk in it, because my mom was like, that sugar or whatever will start we were trying to get to ketosis.
Yeah.
That was the word.
The magic word.
That magic word. And so, I chased that for a little bit. And then after I lost the weight, I was like, okay, now I don't want to miss breakfast anymore, because I'm trying to gain more weight.
Did you make it to ketosis?
Yeah, I made it to ketosis a couple times. It was dope.
What did it feel like?
Um,
And maybe you can define ketosis for people that
Okay.
have never heard it before.
Yeah, so ketosis, the way that I know it, is basically this. I just know it from the process of how it had to happen. We had to prick my finger and take a little bit of blood and read it, and then that would be, I think it was like the level that of the sugar in your blood. I think it was reading that, and I could be wrong on that one, but it was like basically your body processed everything it had in its system and was now like in this fasting state. It was kind of like that was how the general gist of what I got from it. And we would do that test a couple times, but after a while I was like, I don't want to get my finger poked like
Right.
too many times. So
I think I heard like, isn't it like part of ketosis is you're changing your metabolism from only like eating like, because like the way that we've evolved our systems will always consume the sugars first because they were traditionally rare.
Right.
And that's a really quick, easy source of energy.
Right.
But the idea of ketosis is you're depriving your body of the sugar and these certain foods that contain sugars so that your body starts to eat off of its fat stores.
To get to the other stuff. Yeah. Thank you for filling in those holes. That is what it was like it gets to your fat stores and shit that like doesn't get hit quicker. The sugars get used first.
So what were the like subjective benefits of getting into that state? Did you feel different?
I would, trying to transport myself back to those moments. I think from remembering it, no. I think more just the act of having something to organize my day around that was like, it made food mean more to me. Like, it was like, okay, like, I guess what I would say is my stomach felt better, like, because I hadn't eaten late at night. That was the main thing that I felt was like in the morning, I just felt better because like I slept on an emptier stomach. So all night I wasn't like trying to process my food.
Yeah, you don't have that big
like,
insulin dump into your system.
I was just like sleeping.
Yeah.
And that I think was the biggest difference.
Dude, I ate a super burrito last night after I got back from your spot. Me and Tony hit up La Mission on our way home, and
yep, dude, that's the spot right there. I love that burrito.
It's delicious, but like, dude, I think I'm getting to this point in my life. I hate to say it, where like, my body does not know what to do with super burritos.
No.
And I felt like shit after I ate that, and it was.
Yeah.
I love burritos. I'll make my own burritos, and they're
right.
pretty fire. But I think that one thing I've noticed is that eating out, like a lot of the quality of the food that a restaurant is providing, there's a monetary incentive there to cut costs. The margins are already so thin.
Yeah.
Like, I should really just be making my own organic burritos.
Yeah.
I make fire burritos, but.
Yeah, trust your own burrito.
But yeah, that last night my system was definitely. I ate that thing.
Well, the whole super thing, it's like, I want the guacamole and like even the sour cream if I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
But the size.
Right.
Is where it's like, and it's just tough to eat a half burrito.
No, I'm not thinking about stopping until I get to that nub at the end.
Right. It's like a sandwich. They give you a break. Like, it's just like you have two halves.
It's optional. Second half optional.
Second half you can wrap and put and you're good.
Right.
But like half burritos, like that's a wild call. It's like, all right.
Yeah, I know my brother always gets to this state where it's like he's full, but there isn't enough left for another meal.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm just gonna eat it all, and then he's just like
beach
whale.
Yeah. Nah, it is. It's a real thing, man.
Yeah, I do a lot of like breakfast burritos are my favorite meal.
Oh yeah.
And I make a fire breakfast burrito, but I've tried to like wean out the processed flour out of my diet, and I've I have my cheat days. I like my pizza every now and then, but I've been doing the corn tortilla breakfast tacos.
Yeah. That real, like your body can do something with it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's quite the same. Because I found that when I do go back, especially if I haven't eaten in a while, having that flour tortilla, it's delicious. But like I get such a drop in energy right after I eat it.
Yeah,
and that was another thing I noticed when I did the month off of processed grains. My sensitivity went way up. Because I was also trying to cut out sugar. There was a couple times I had ice cream, and I had like a headache the next day. Like, it was like, what did you do?
Went down.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I could see that happening. Like, I think your body is in a constant state of adapting to what you're doing to it, and so it's like, it's cool to know that it's on your team too. But like giving you that sign of like, yo, I'm not used to that because I'd been stopped feeling that sugar high. That's cool.
Yeah, speaking of adjustments and things we put our body through.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you just put your body through. You want to, like, what is this thing? I went out to your house just to give some context to all you folk out there. Yesterday, Neal graciously invited me out to his spot for a little barbecue. We grew up together, known each other since way back, but I kind of got into this latest connection through like your Instagram stories, finding out you're doing this epic run, and you want to talk about what that was, and so people can have an idea of what you just put yourself through.
Yeah, totally. First, I'll just run through a couple nicknames that people have given me and some that I've given myself.
For sure.
Chav, Chavi, Wheel, Big Wheel, Real Deal Neal, Guacamole, Spider-Man, the Coyote, the Wile Coyote. Love, yo. The White Buffalo.
The White Buffalo, okay. Nice.
The Backyard Farmer. The Hunchback Whale.
The Humpback Whale? Or the Hunchback Whale?
Yeah, I think the Hunchback Whale. Because, like, the Humpback Whale is, like, that's a real thing, but I've been trying to work on my posture and just keeping my core a little tighter, letting my shoulders drop back into their natural state. Whereas I think just as a tall person, I've had a tendency to kind of get small or like curl.
Hunchy?
Yeah, just get a little hunchy. All
right, we're back.
And we're back, baby.
So, the Hunchback Whale.
The Hunchback Whale of Woodacre, California.
There you go. So, 48 miles, 48 days.
48 days would be tough, dude.
48 miles in 48 hours.
Yeah.
What is this? Let's tell the people what you just did.
All right, so there is unbeknownst to me, there's a challenge called 48 and 48. And someone by the name of David Goggins, who is kind of busted on the scene as like an inspirational personality.
Yeah.
And my brother brought this challenge to my attention. My brother Lucas, who lives in Washington, and he was like, "Yo, we should do this challenge. It happens March 4th, and we could push the date back." I think he was talking this around Christmas. He was bringing it up, and I was at that point starting to run and starting to kind of like find my flow and like kind of be happy and trying to like figure out what I needed to do to be happy. And running has always made me happy. I always had things I could go to that were my cornerstones to find my peace type zones.
You and me both, man. That's my biggest antidepressant is going for a run.
Yeah. Your day, at the end of the day, like I got to that run state where I was like, I let my thoughts flow and I got to be out in the trails or whatever. So that was an easy medicine for me. And when he put that challenge out, I think something with numbers, like the way that they flowed, it was like 4 miles every 4 hours, 48 hours. And I was like, okay, like my brain kind of latched to it. I was like, okay, like, yeah, let's do it. And from there, it gave me something to train to. So I started training more. So I was like running a good amount and just putting miles in. I felt like the, you know, most like not overthink it way of doing it was like, oh, you're going to be doing this running thing. So run. So
you did there was like a prep period for it?
Yeah, I would say from January to March 4th was that like 2 days ago? Yeah. So that was kind of the
3.5 months, 4 months almost of.
Yeah, January, February, like 2 months.
Okay, so yeah, like two and a half months.
Yeah.
And just really clearly, because I think still people might have a question, like, what is the 48 and 48?
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so for 48 hours, starting March 4th at 8 p.m., people all around the world, probably, definitely in the States, were running every 4 hours. They would complete 4 miles.
Wow.
And so when you started at 8, you run your 4 miles in whatever time you did it in, and then you have until 12 p.m. or midnight, 12 a.m., I guess, to rest and get right, and then jump back out there, run at midnight, come back, rest, run at 4 in the morning, come back, rest. This is almost like triggering to even like at this point. I'm like, yo, that's right. Like that happened. Like, oh yeah, those 12, that 4, the 8 o'clock run.
You're thinking back to that grid?
Yeah. I'm just like, yo, that loop was wild. Like I brought my times with me. And a funny thing that we did was like try to find the average of my times. And it was like a fun math problem to do with my brother because it was like trying to convert the 33.45 seconds to like a calculator, which would be like on the 100th like decimal level.
Yeah.
So it got to be this fun math problem. But yeah, we did figure that out.
You were putting up numbers. I was impressed when I heard that you were running your 4, like it sounded like you were averaging around a half an hour for 4 miles.
Yeah.
Which is like a 7.5 minute mile, which is, I had trouble doing that in high school, man. That's impressive.
Yeah. I was a little north of 30. The average that we got to was 34 and 28 seconds on some rough math numbers, but I trust them. And yeah, the splits were like, you know, my highest, I was up there. The hardest runs were probably the legs 9 and 10 when you weren't quite to those last 2. You were like still in that, just like, okay, let's get through this. But it was, those were 38 minutes, 30 seconds, and then 38:21. And I think I did kind of have this goal in my head that I was like, you can hit sub 40. Like, so I think in my mind I planted like I floated that out there like, all right, let's try to complete this sub 40. And so I was stoked to do that, all 12 legs.
Yeah, that's an achievement for sure.
Yeah.
That's so cool too. So I wasn't aware that it was like a global thing happening at this specific time. I thought you guys just put it together with each other. But so there was people all over the world doing this thing this last weekend?
Yeah. I haven't seen footage of like people doing it outside of like just what I've briefly seen on Goggins' Instagram, which there was runners in San Francisco, there was runners in Sacramento, and he floated that out there like you could go run with him if you wanted. I floated it to him like you could come run with us if you want.
I saw that story.
I was like, yo, yeah, you could come out here, dude.
Where's
we got
he
it
based?
Valley style. I don't even know.
Okay.
I mean, I know he went to Sacramento, and I know he went to San Francisco, and I think he went down to Ventura and ran on the pier. I don't know if he's from California. I don't know really anything about this guy. I downloaded his book.
Okay. You never listened to him like on Rogan or given any of his interviews?
I listened to him like he would pop up on my YouTube like suggested stories, and he would like say some funny shit like, he'd be on like one of his like 100-mile like runs, and he'd be like, you know, when that voice in your head just starts sounding like a straight bitch. and I'm like, this dude is hilarious. And so funny enough, I'll be like, Luke would send me a video of him working out, and then Goggins would like, you know, be like, I think that's like stand-up like comedic gold right there.
Right.
Dude's running and he's like making fun of the voice in his head. And so I was like, all right, I'll go get my shoes on, I'll go for a run.
Yeah.
But it was cool to kind of like, get fired up in a funny way to me, because I don't want to like, I think he's had a serious life, and like he's had real shit that he had to get through. And I think just that he has floated this idea out there, and that this many people have gravitated to it as something they wanted to do, is super beautiful.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think you need to have such a like a aggro energy towards it. I think that there's like a more beautiful way to kind of like float in and out of that state.
For sure.
At least I, look for that myself. But it was it was cool to see that there, I had a buddy up in Fairbanks who was running while we were running down in the valley in like Fairbanks, Alaska. So it was just chilly, like real cold. And I'll show you a picture at some point where his beard is just frozen.
Wow. And
it was cool to reconnect with him because, we were teammates in Fairbanks, but like, just having this kind of network of people like checking in on this thing I was doing, and then like maybe I'll do that. So it became this cool, like kind of
that you had people coming, subbing in, running lengths with you.
It was beautiful.
Seemed like a very open situation. Yeah, I know David Goggins like is a veteran.
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit of his story. Like he was like 350 pounds or something like that.
Damn, yeah.
And he like was super depressed and ended up becoming a Navy SEAL.
Whoa.
Like pushing his body to the limit.
Yeah.
And really has that like no surrender attitude.
Right.
Like, like push past where you think your body can go.
Right.
And I know that that's super inspiring for a lot of people. And I feel you, like some of his rhetoric is a little like intense for me.
Yeah.
I do like the comedy in it and the joy, but I do think that there is like a way to interpret it via the lens of like the Valley Hobbit philosophy,
Yeah.
Which I think you did very well. But it was so cool, me and my brother coming in on the tail end, getting to celebrate with you guys, and of course following some of the videos that you posted. Isn't it amazing, like when you create an event like that, and in some ways you guys did your own small version of what he was doing, right in your community.
Yeah.
Just what it opens up in your life, like the people that it brings into your orbit, the connections that are made, just by setting in your mind, like I want to do something, and I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to make it a public thing,
I'm going to share it.
Like I'm sure, like you were saying, like how many people are you connected to now, or have you refreshed your connection with as a result of doing this thing?
Yeah, that was one of the coolest parts about it for me, was all these people I became closer to through doing it. Like another teammate, an old friend, Rio Swenderman, came by and just stayed at the house for the 48 hours and was just walked, whatever he could do, every single leg with us, just because he saw me on Instagram talking about it. It sparked his interest.
That's amazing.
He was like, oh, I'm doing it. And that was so like important to like me, like it, like the inspire like pass back like happens like to you and to me.
Yeah.
It's like you don't just inspire and then it's like stops.
Mm-hmm.
It like then they're like, yo, like that was inspiring.
Inspiration is a two-way street.
It's a two-way street, baby.
Yeah.
And that was super cool because Yeah, I haven't had an Instagram in like 5 years, and then I got an Instagram, and then I was like, well, what's the point of having one? I was like, oh, like, I want to, like, be positive on here. I want to, like, do things that are hard for me, and then maybe inspire other people along the way. And that felt that lead up towards, like, it just so happened that this challenge was going to be on the tail end, and I was kind of like training a little bit for it and getting my body right. And then like all the outpouring of like, just love and support, like through old friends and just people I don't even know that well, but were like, yo, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like I had some homies at the AT&T store that were like super integral to like this whole thing, because they hooked me up with the new phone. Like I came in there with the 6. They're like, we can't even accept that as like, we can't even do a replace phone on that one. But I ended up spending so much time in there with them that like I got them to kind of like follow my Instagram. I followed them back, and like we became like cool, and so I dedicated one of the legs to y'all at the AT&T store on 4th Street.
Hell yeah! Shout out AT. I remember visiting those guys once upon a time. I got my first iPhone there.
Yep.
And it was a 6. The 6s were sick. Or I got a 6S.
I have the 6S.
That's
it was dope, dude.
Yeah,
I
the
thought
iPhone
it was great.
6S. And I loved that one. And then I moved to the 12, and I hated it.
Yeah.
Like with the face scan, I don't like that face scanner.
It won't scan my face. This is the 13, but it's yet to scan my face correctly.
Dude, it's all about, and this is not an ad for Apple, but for those of you out there like me that aren't into the new, face scan technology, the SE.
The SE
costs half as much. It's still got the thumbprint scanner, and it's just as powerful.
Epic.
The camera is just as good. It's for like, people that want a little less flash.
Yeah.
But I actually preferred it, so I went from the 12.
And it's the mini though too, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a little smaller. It's a little more compact.
Because it's the same size as this. It's the 13 mini, and then you got a small one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I went in the store, and they're like, yeah, dude, like the camera is like just as good as the 13. It doesn't have like 5 cameras. It doesn't have
the 3 camera or whatever.
Yeah, but who uses that anyways?
I don't know.
I think it's a gimmick kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the processor is like just as powerful. So
epic.
I've loved it. I think it's actually safer when you're driving to be able to just not look at the screen and use your thumb.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. I'm glad you had that connection with the boys.
Yeah. It was like, I felt like if I was going to even try to capture any of this on like my phone, I just wanted to have a device that my, the 6S was starting to break down. For sure. So they hooked it up with a new phone, got out of there, and it was it was cool. But just speaking, all the people that were a part of it were like, there was a long list of folks who lent, love, like you included, like, you and Tone coming out last night was super cool. And so it was not an individual event. In some ways it was very personal, but there was a collective energy where that other people were running it different places, right, that like felt like you were a part of this thing, which was really cool to feel. What was that? What did the first? Let's talk about the first length. Yeah, let's get into legs, dude. What did that first leg feel like, knowing you had so much ahead? Yeah. Was it surprisingly easy? Was it more difficult than you thought it would be? Yeah, the first leg, I think we got blessed with some rain on the first leg, and it was definitely also. This is 8 p.m. on the first night? 8 p.m. on the first night. I picked up Lukey at the airport at 7. No, we got home at like 7:20, 7:30, and the first run started at 8. So we were kind of like, all right, like, let's get ready and then let's go. For that one, I remember feeling energized and like had the adrenaline of that first run. And also there was a group of folks there that I didn't even know were going to show up and like be there. So like Rio, I knew was going to be there, but his mom was there and her partner was there, and Spencer Vergara showed up just on a whim. Like I got my haircut like the other day and kind of reconnected with him and told him what I was doing. And so he showed up after work. So it was just like we were juiced. So the first one felt good. I was like cruising. That was one that the time didn't fully get transferred because I didn't want to run with my phone. So I was using some type of Fitbit, but it has been janky, and so I stopped using that and just started carrying my phone and using the.
What were you doing for music? Because I feel like in a lot of those Instagram videos, you got music bumping.
I just had my fanny pack, and I was just playing it through the speakers of my phone.
Really?
And I could just like run, and I could hear it, and music was crucial. I didn't have music on the first one.
Yeah, music helps a lot.
And music was super important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That so you were able to record the Instagram with music playing? Because I feel like usually on the phone when you start recording, it cuts out the music.
Yeah, so the beautiful thing is that like I could hit record and the music would take 1 second to like calibrate, and then it would still play. Dope. And you could record. If you use your camera, it cuts it out. But on Instagram, they keep the music in the background. And yeah, it was dope.
So your family, I mean, your parents also were a part of this, right?
Huge.
What did they say when you and Lukey brought the idea to them?
Yeah, so Luke planted the seed. Mom was hesitant, and because Mom has an energy that is very much, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to finish it. And she was worried that she wasn't going to finish it. So she was like, I don't want to do something I'm not going to finish. And then she started training in like February. She was like kind of like a month behind. She like, and on my schedule, she was like, started a little later. And she was huge. Like she was really the leader of the whole thing because, and she had said this before I walked out of the door to go drop Luke off and then come here. She was like, I wanted y'all to know, like her kids, that kind of like mentality, that addictive, like I'm just going to do this thing energy comes from me and not your pops. Because everyone is always like, yo, like, you know, basketball family, like, you know, like you get the athleticism and all that from your pops, and you know, sure we do. Like, I mean,
your dad is like one of the most, you know, inspirational people in the valley. He's like an off the grid inspirer.
Totally. You know? He's a totally like, without the Instagram followers, he's a total like, just, you know, passing out inspiration all over the place. So I totally see where that, like, you know, people would connect that like to him. But yeah, that kind of like just like grind and we're just going to do this thing mentality is Mom. And I came to that epiphany like 6 or 7 runs in after she had turned her ankle in the first leg because Dad had let Bilbo out, our dog, and he's running off leash and he loves Mom. He's connected to Mom. So in the dark, I wasn't even a part of this fall. I was ahead or whatever. But so she falls, turns her ankle, and goes, fuck it. All right, I'll keep going. And so her recovery was like different than all of ours because she was doing it on a bum ankle. Like it was, you know, bruised and she would just come home, put her leg up, ice. Wow. And then get back out there.
That's wild.
It was crazy.
Did she run it or was she walking or?
She ran the whole thing.
You guys so you and Luke and her all ran the whole thing.
Yeah. Luke said he wanted to stop definitely a couple times, but he ran the whole thing. Mom ran the whole thing. You
bring some big brother accountability when he tried to stop?
No, because I wasn't ever with him.
Okay.
Like I never saw Luke until the last 2 runs.
Were you running solo mostly?
We would all start together, but by the time we got to about the first stop sign, I was usually like ahead, and then we wouldn't see each other.
Okay.
After that. And so it was very, in that way, that was where the individual aspect was there, because at times, like at night, I could hear the echo of my shoes and I would think someone was behind me. And I even remember like talking to the person I thought was behind me. Like, yo, like this downhill is coming. This is good. Let's ride this downhill.
Yeah.
And then realizing that it was just the echo of my shoes.
Okay.
And then I was kind of getting high off that. I was like, yo, I'm getting chased by myself. You know, it's like, whoa, it was getting meta at 4 a.m, dude.
I'm sure.
And, I think everyone, there was no real pressure to, other than the pressure you might have put on yourself to walk whatever your body was telling you to do. Like, you know, just, yeah.
Pops
you're on your own
the
journey.
Whole thing, right?
Pops walked the whole thing. He's coming off an Achilles injury, and he knew like he was gonna walk. He might try to run a little bit, but and he took an ice bath today before he went to work because he's sore, yo. Like,
yeah, I bet.
Like just from walking it, like it's a grind. That's a lot of times your feet are touching the pavement, and like
right. I was so impressed just by, because like being an athlete myself, been an athlete my whole life, and I've dealt with some like pretty serious ankle injuries over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
That have forced me to rethink how I approach athletics.
Yeah.
So to see your dad, who's like this monumental athlete in our community,
right?
Everybody knows Buck Chavez as like a basketball legend, you know?
Right.
And to see the humility that it took to be like, I'm going to walk it.
Yeah.
Especially when you got all these young bucks, all this young male energy around, all hyped on the run.
Yeah.
I like got to your house and he was talking about the last leg and he's like, I'm about to go walk it. And so I know like we all, you know, despite the bodies that we live in, wherever our bodies are, that heart is young. Yeah. And I know your dad has still got that young man energy inside of him, that desire to like, to push. So I was really impressed by the wisdom that he was bringing of like, I know my body, I know what I can do. Yeah. And there was this real like sense of valor in his decision to be like, yeah, I'm going to go walk that now. Yeah. And you know, everyone was like already celebrating and he was kind of just quietly like,
he's like, I got to go do it.
But he was still like in it. Like he wasn't, it didn't matter that you guys had all finished your runs. He was like,
he was on his own journey.
Yeah, he was on his own journey.
Yeah. And that was pretty cool to see. I think you're right. Just the knowledge of self of like, I can do what I can do. And he had to ref games on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
We ref third grade basketball at Redwood, second and third grade. And I got someone to cover for me. But Dad had to go ref games. So he was on a different schedule than all of us. And like he still did it, man. And it was everyone's story is their own, and was just cool to be witness to it, like while it was happening. But I was so in my own story too that it was like, if someone was like telling me they were sore and stuff, I was like, that's cool. Like, keep that shit over there. Yeah. like I hear you. Yeah. Like, you know, like, but like
plenty of time for that later.
Yeah. Like, figure it out, yo. Like, can I help you some way? Do you want? I got some weed cream or whatever. But like, you know, let's fix that problem or keep it pushing.
Yeah. Let's talk about the strategy of recovery, right? So you're doing your runs, and then you know. How did you plan out your like your cycle or your system ahead of time, or was that something that evolved over the course of the weekend?
It was very much on the fly. Luke had the great idea of a ice bath or some sort of container that we could get into with ice and just numb and just get that Wim Hof energy going. And that was huge because Dad got a drum from, the community center somewhere. I don't know where he grabbed it. It was leaking the first time, put some duct tape on it, and then we were good to go. But the strategy of recovery was very much kind of being thrown together as we were figuring it out. And I realized, okay, like if I'm running about a 33-minute, 4-mile pace, then I have approximately 3.5 hours to recover until my next run. And so in that time, everyone was doing different stuff. I knew that laundry was going to be super important. So I was kind of pushing to everyone throw the stuff that they don't want to wear on the next run in the washer. Let's get that going. Let's stay on top of the dishes and things that I thought would be kind of a distraction, like to myself at least, that like I didn't want to see that buildup of like regular life chores not happening. So that kind of also kind of kept me in a mode that felt more normal pace of life. Whereas a lot of people I saw were like, just like putting their legs up and just like done. Done. And I was kind of like trying to definitely get some of that rest in for sure. But I was also like, I wanted to go to the grocery store.
You're staying in motion.
I was trying to stay in motion because I like, that was whatever that felt like, it made more sense to me.
You take any baths, any hot baths during the weekend?
I didn't take any hot baths. I thought about it. Luke had done one, and he said he put some Epsom salts in there, and he said that was a good call. I was just doing the ice baths and then hot shower, and then kind of like, just warm up, either by the fire with the space heaters, stay warm, and then eat something. Try to put something down.
Yeah. How did you have to plan, like, were you eating right when you got done with the run? Were you trying to give yourself enough time to digest before you?
Yeah. So that was definitely, something that was fluid too. Like, Mom had done a lot of prep towards like grabbing kind of easier meals to like just get and then eat, so that you didn't have to like, chef something up while you were tired. But you end up being hungry, but like not like totally sure about what you want to eat, because you're like, the whole cycle of the way that you're doing these runs, it just like makes it confusing for your digestion. So it was kind of a on the fly.
What was the snack that kept you going? Was there something that like?
I had a couple real good PB&Js with some bread that Rio got at Fairfax Market. That was not the potato bread, but it was like this soft white bread that was just like nostalgic and like just like hitting the spot in the best way. And then there was also, I think it was Saturday night, maybe Friday night, where we had chicken and spinach salad, and that was like a proper meal, and that felt super important too, to like kind of have like a good dinner, like that just like felt like okay, like still in the flow of things. A couple Annie's burritos in the mix.
Nice.
Dude, everything. It was just a like look.
And then weed cream. Were you smoking joints also throughout it? Or?
Weed cream. Smoked a couple CBD joints. And yeah, wanted to do it my way. Like wanted it. So like on some of the night runs, we popped a couple mushrooms. Like nice. Just like peanut butter for the taste, and just kind of like wanted to have it be mine. Didn't want to have it be like a super rigid structure, but like wanted to be smart about it. I wasn't drinking at all. I wanted to do stuff that would help me, not hinder me.
Right.
And
sounds like you were being very like ceremonial with it, like shamanic almost.
Yeah.
With some intention, real intention. Like, did you set any intentions before the start of the run?
Yeah, I think just maybe like just feeling this discipline that I've like been kind of like trying to tiptoe into my life, of like limiting certain things that I had done to excess before, whether it be drinking, eating, smoking, all three things that I love doing, that I get a high from, but I often feel like I kind of abuse that high of just like eating that third cookie, like like the first two were cool, dude, but you didn't need the third one,
right?
Or whatever. And
just as a note, that was one of the things Tony said on the drive back home last night. He's like, man, I ate too many Girl Scout cookies.
Too many Girl Scout cookies. He got by the Girl Scout cookies, dude. It happens, Tom.
Yeah, he gets there. Let's talk about the leg. For this part, we're going to get real specific for all you Valley folk tuning in out there.
Yeah.
If not, just know that this is local talk, and you're welcome to listen.
Yeah.
We'll try to give you a good picture of what it was, but for my fellow Woodacreans, San Geronimonians, Forest Nolians, and Lagunitas, This one's for you, baby.
Yeah, all the trolls and the salmon and the turkeys and
the lightning.
And the lightning. Yeah.
Let's talk about the route. What was the route?
Yeah, so the route was from our house, 221 Central. Y'all welcome to come by, say what's up. I'm moving out, but there's always going to be folks there.
I'm moving out.
I'm moving out. Y'all come on by.
And
so we leave. We go out the front door, and we start right like next to my dad's old '64 Falcon, and this and the blackberry bushes, and this kind of like culvert that we like to pee in.
Nice.
And then we go. Heads up. We usually like to pee in the blackberry bushes. So I've seen people go for the low ones my whole life, and I feel like it's important to note that like it's either us or dogs or like that's just gonna have maybe urine on it, which is what it is. The rain will wash it off,
right.
but stay with it. So we just went from there. We go to the ball field, through the fire station, loop the ball field, come down Redwood, all the way to San Geronimo Valley Drive, right there where Travie Lang lives.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go up past the post office, Dixon Ranch is on the left, and then you hit the right at the post office, you go up Central, and then you come back to our house. And then how I like to do it is get that little mini loop around our house, just around the block, in between those two bigger loops, because you have to do that loop twice.
That's the Carson Central loop? Or
a little around the new Central Park zone. Yeah. And so you end up doing that first initial loop, which is like almost 2 miles. You get that middle around the block loop, and then you have to do the bigger loop again, and that gives you the 4 miles that you need to do the thing. But that was the jam, dude. Just running around the neighborhood like,
yeah,
what's up, yo?
Was there anybody that was like spectating, like that you kept seeing again and again, or
definitely
were people aware you were doing this in the neighborhood?
It started to be like, it was funny to see the reaction start to change once they started to see you do it again, or like the look would be like, what's going on, or like, and so I think also that we had a decent sized group. It became a little bit more of like, oh, they're doing something. A lot of like just, yeah, like love from like, yo, good job, yo, like, or whatever, like on a pass by. Yeah, buzz on Central was huge a couple times, because that Central stretch, even though it was a mild uphill, that's been like a weird, because I've run that to home like so many times in my life. That is just a wild straightaway. That's just like longer than it needs to be. It just like feels like long. Like I don't know why, but it just is.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a psychology, especially growing up in the valley. Like, cause I remember there's certain hills in the valley that just, coming home from school, I got to go up on my bike, like thinking about riding my bike home on Arroyo.
Yeah.
You look at the top of Arroyo. Like how long that hill felt.
Yeah, that hill feels big, man.
And it doesn't matter. You get older, the hill gets smaller relative to you, but in your mind, it's
still big, dude. Yeah, totally.
For sure.
Yeah, you felt those micro uphills, and loved the downhills. The downhills were so sweet, but the uphills you definitely felt, and we're like, all right, let's fight this uphill. It's like one step.
It's cool. Like I do a 3.5 mile loop in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
I've been doing it now for 3-4 years, and it starts, technically running uphill.
Right.
Then I cut and I'm running kind of at the same, and I always know right when I hit Ashby that I've got this, suddenly I'm just flying, and it's like, oh man, I'm fast.
Just, yo.
Yeah.
You got the momentum.
I got certain hydrants that I do tricks over. I jump over, do a 360 or, and every time I get up to those, I'm like, is this going to be the year that I like hurt myself? Like I'm getting older every year. Can I still do the 360 over the hydrant?
Yeah, that's so sick.
But then I get to it and I'm like, yeah, I can.
I still can.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Little Jedi training grounds or whatever.
Yeah, no, that is like so important to have like those little things along the way that are like little
markers.
Yeah, little like boosters kind of.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, did you build any new relationships with parts of this stretch? Was there like those moments where you're like, oh, you again, or like,
Totally.
here we go, or
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I might walk that loop again, or I might bike that loop, or I might drive that loop, but it's going to be hard for me to think about running that loop for a long time.
Okay.
But it was like such a cool way for me to say bye to the neighborhood.
Right.
Like, and I think in a lot of ways that's what this was for me, was I kind of wanted some symbolic way to say bye to this place that meant so much to me. And to run around the neighborhood that many times, I think about 24, because each loop for each leg you had to do the loop twice. I was running by old friends' house like that, like moved away, and it was emotional. Like, it was like I'm running by the ball field, like my brother like hit his first home run like while I was like umping, and like just like little Luke like just like knocked one into left center. I felt like I hit a homer, and I was like umping it, and I was like, yo, like, and so like every time I ran around the field, I was like, yo, like, Luke, you hit your first homer here, yo, like, this is sick, like,
right.
And every basketball hoop along the way, I would like, send a little imaginary floater into, or by the jumps where the Ramoses used to live, there was a Buddha, and Anua hit me and was like, yo, make sure that you check the Buddha, like the Buddha will give you love. And so it was cool, man. There was definitely like a bunch of little symbols along the way, and just a bunch of like hellos and goodbyes that were happening.
Cool. So was there like, was any of it like traumatic for you? Is there a traumatic element to the run?
I think the repetitive nature of doing that loop and starting to know your steps and your parts, it was a yin and a yang. It was very beautiful to like recognize exactly where you were. But being so aware of the start and finish and everything in between started to wear on me like halfway through. And when we do this again next year, I would like to mix more trails in there, less pavement.
You're going to do it again? It's going to be an annual thing?
Luke put it out there as an annual thing.
Okay.
He floated it. We had a meeting before we even started this thing where it was just Luke, Mom, and I, and he had made a PowerPoint.
Yeah?
And he was like, thanks for coming. He ran a Zoom meeting, and we were like, yep, like, we're here, and so he was like, it's annual, and we were like, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool to do it again, do it different, do it the same, but like just have like as many people that wanted to be a part of it, engage with it and join. And then, even like just talking about like the video work and stuff that you're doing, like having someone film it and have it be more documented, just at a higher production level than like just like Instagram stories or whatever.
It's funny. That's kind of where my mind went. Even when you invited us out, I was like, should I bring my camera?
Yeah.
But I think it'd be a really cool little mini doc to do.
Yeah.
Just to, because I'm sure you're just getting so much gold from everybody too, all day during the runs.
Oh, just epic stuff. Yeah.
Tons of great little quotes and enough to fill a doc for sure.
Totally. Something that like, I think, 15-minute, whatever you wanted to do with it. But like, there were times where, and it's okay because the movie is in my head, so I know it happened, but Luke and I are running up Central, and we're both just done, tired. This is leg 10, and he is on my left going, come on, man. And he's talking to me, and he's talking to himself, and it's like, yo, like, that's my little brother, like, and he's like, just like to me, like such an inspiration, and to be with him, like running up our street, like is like dope to me, like the dopest. And so like, some of those moments, I'm just, I'll just keep in my pocket.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a moment where you thought you weren't going to finish? Were you like close to giving up? Was there anything like that?
The only thing for me was about 4 legs in, my lower calves got tight. and I hadn't felt that level of tightness from playing basketball or going on my runs because I wasn't doing them in sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So I was worried just that there would be like some potential injury or something that if I was continuing to do that and it continued to get more tight, that would happen. But as it went, like I was able to kind of like figure it out on the go, just like with the recovery that I was doing, rolling it out, and kind of like the ice baths and the weed cream,
mm-hmm.
and just kind of while you're running, that's when it does help to have that, like, that Goggins mentality a little bit. I think the voice in my head is a lot more positive than even Luke was like saying that his brain was against him and that he was like trying to fight his brain a little bit. And I always felt like, the voice in my head is like so dope, He's like, I got, the homie's rooting for me. Like, he's like,
you got to change your running partner, bro.
It's like, you need you got to have you a hype man in your brain who's just like, every dog that was barking at me, like when I would like run by the house, I was like, thank you, like that's fucking, that's
I needed
epic.
that.
I needed that, like the water, like we would run along the creek and the water at night was moving in. Rio said this, it was moving, the water's moving in the same direction as us. It was like, whoa, the water's on our side, we're running with the water.
Yeah, you start to line up those elemental allies.
Yeah, you just find your teammates out there.
Yeah.
And so, and I had a hype man in my head, so that was cool.
What an asset.
Yeah.
What about, so I want you to take me to this moment. You just finished.
Yeah.
That first step after knowing that you're done. What is that moment?
That moment, it's like a mix of like KG after the Celtics win the title. Anything is possible. And like, it's that, but it's like immediate tears, like immediate, like keel over, like, and just like start crying. And it was even like the last couple runs were wild because like the last one specifically, like there were hella people behind me, like riding their bike, like having their conversations, kind of kicking it, supporting me. Mm-hmm. But it was like, I was very aware that they were behind me. And so even when I finished and I was like starting to cry, I was like very aware that like there were people there. And it was like this balancing act for me of like wanting that release from myself and like knowing that I had points along the runs where like tears were close and tears were happening, but it was, my face was sweaty. There was you could confuse
a little mingling.
You could confuse a tear for some sweat. But yeah, those first couple steps, I think I was like, I just did it, and I just went, just keeled over and just kind of like let myself get a quick cry in, and then I hugged my brother up on the pathway of bricks that Dad mostly built, but I helped him a lot, and like we all got to lay some bricks, so that pathway was kind of like cool to me too. And then I was kind of right into like party hosting mode. So I was like, oh yeah, we got people coming over, like let me get the beers on ice and like, bring out some snacks and shit for folks. So it kind of it was a quick transition to like done with the run to like, let's have some
party.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun party. I wanted to ask you too, like, what was it like to wake up this morning? The first morning where you didn't have that immediately to think about.
Yeah.
How was last night's sleep? And what did you, did you feel like any wistfulness that it was over? Were you just happy that it's done?
Yeah.
Take me through that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool. It was kind of a mix of things. It was missing the camaraderie a little bit of like the we're all doing this hard thing together. Mm-hmm. And that was super sweet. But knowing that we weren't having to run again was a super big relief. And so like knowing that I was going to get to sleep like straight and not have to wake up in like 2 hours or whatever was huge, because I was definitely getting into like this wild dream state of just lack of sleep, and like that was like cool to be in, but I could also feel my body being like, let's conk you out for 6 to 7 hours. So the sleep was great, the wake up was awesome. Drove my sister to school, listened to music with her. And
did she do the run, or was she just chilling?
She did. Nicole did the first 2 runs with us, and she ended up running 8 miles total, and it was huge, like most like miles she's ever put in a short period of time. And just even leading up to the event, like she would be training, like doing more runs and everything, and so it was a super positive influence, and she was huge, like just as a part of it the whole time. And Gracie also ran the last 2, I think she did 2 miles the last run that everyone did. Like she did like the last loop, like the last second half of the last leg, and her and Coley ran together. It's like just beautiful. Like I was like, yo, that's so cool. You just wanted to jump in on the last one.
Keep running. I'm just gotta put in some more memory.
Yeah. So yeah, she ran the last one, and I got to drop her off at Archie today. And yeah, the whole morning was just kind of like a cool, nice to hang out at the house a little bit. Like Luke had been home for, these 3 days or whatever, but it was never really like we got to kick it, because it was like we were just running.
Right.
We definitely had our moments of hanging, but it was like there was always this other thing that was happening. So this morning we played Catan.
Sick.
With Sky and Coley.
I gotta get down with you guys with some Catan. Me and my brother are hardcore.
Yeah, that's epic.
I love it.
I like want to love it, but I haven't won in so long that game is like hard for me to love. It's like, yo, this thing takes a long time. The pace of play is an issue.
Let me let you in on my strategy.
Okay, yeah. What do you do?
First, the initial placement is essential.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you got to get one of every kind.
No.
But you got to have a strategy. Like,
yeah.
Am I going sheep heavy this round, and can I get the sheep port?
Right, but sheep, stay away from the sheep.
I'm not afraid of sheep.
If you got the sheep port.
I've won on sheep.
Okay, that's
But
cool.
if you can get the sheep port, and you got to, you just got to look at your numbers.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go for the 6-8 right away, which are great, but it's the 9s and 4s that'll make or break you.
That's like a metaphor for
9s
life.
and 5s, I mean.
Yeah, the like secondary numbers that are like kind of not the flashy red ones that are speaking to everybody on the board.
The other thing, don't get boxed in one corner of the board. Make sure you have an out to expand. So like if that means 2 on separate sides.
Yeah.
I've beat my cousin so often because he puts stuff right next to each other.
Yeah, he closed himself in.
That, and then you kind of got to be ruthless with how you build.
Yeah.
With respect, like
ruthless with respect.
The way that I play Catan is I'm never aiming to win.
Yeah.
Because to me, winning is kind of arbitrary in that game.
Cool.
I want to be able to do stuff every turn.
Right.
So I'm aiming to get like an economic system in motion.
That's a cool way to think about it. It's not even,
If I do that, even if I don't get the victory, I still feel good about the game.
Right.
I just hate sitting there with cards and not being able to do things.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like all my decisions are like, will this bring me in more resources so I can do more stuff? I just want to be able to do stuff on my turn, and that's what's fun.
Yeah. That's a hella good call, man. Yeah. Yeah, it was a mix of like this morning's game, for example, was a mix of like distraction of like, just whatever was happening around us. I was playing music pretty loud, so trades were down when music was loud. And it was like, it was a dope game, but it definitely reached a point where I was almost rooting for the one who was leading.
Right.
I was like, Sky, what do you need? Like
he got the win.
I got you. Sky got the win.
That's one way to piss off your other brothers by offering a boost to the
right. And they were trying to figure it out like what we were all in this like, do we want it to end type of place? But I hear you on there's a focus that you have to do. You have to have a strategy. And I'm kind of whimsical with that strategy. I'm like floating in it. And
I always have like 2 objectives.
Yeah.
And like an A and a B, and it's like, okay, my next thing I'm trying to do is this, and I got this other thing lined up. Yeah. If someone counters what I'm trying to do, I got a backup that I can put my resources towards.
Yeah.
I love Catan.
Well, let's play, man.
Let's do
I
it,
think
for
I might do with with a little bit of a.
And everyone, I should say that like I am most winningest in my family. And all my cousins and my brother like gang up on me every game.
Yeah.
Like, they all come for me.
Yeah.
You ask any one of them, they say that I'm like the most cutthroat, that I'm like, like the most competitive.
But
and I am.
You're ruthless with respect, though.
But what I always maintain is like, hey, I'm never really looking to screw anyone over.
Yeah.
I want to get my system going.
You got to put yourself first, yo. It's a metaphor for life in some ways. It's like, and that's a cool way to do it, because I even like today was like forgetting to like, I'll put the night on, someone roll a 7, or I would like move it to like my brother's spot. Forget to take his card. Okay. Just like just like rookie stuff. Just rookie stuff.
We do extortion in our family. So like,
what's that? So
if I roll a 7. Sorry for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. This is Catan lore. Yeah. You can fast forward this part. If you roll a 7 or you play a night card. Yeah. Like this is where it's gotten to with my cousins and me and my brother. Yeah. Like before we decide where it's going, I'm going to every player and being like, how much, like, what do you give me not to night you? Right. So you're making like on a 7, you're going to get 2 or 3 resource cards at least. Yeah. And sometimes that means you got to like put it on the desert, which is fine. Right. Or sometimes you got to make the tough call, which is like later in the game, sometimes there is no spot to put it. Right. And then you have to make the decision. Am I going to go back on my word? Yeah. Which really pisses people off more than anything. Yeah. Or do I night myself, which I would never do. Which is a weird move. Yeah. So, there's been some feelings definitely when a deal had to go backwards. Yeah. But I think in the end, what I've learned from Catan, despite all of our arguments, because in our family, it's like this big thing every Christmas. Okay. Everyone keeps showing up, That's beautiful. Sometimes people win, sometimes they lose, sometimes they have a hard time, but we all show up to the table. Yeah. And now we got, my younger cousin Pietro, who's like 10 years younger than me. Dope. Shout out Pete.
What's up, Pete?
I feel like he's always been the youngest cousin. We have a big family, right? There's like 10, 15 cousins. He's the youngest. Yeah. And he's always wanted to kind of be respected as a man. Yeah. And this last Christmas, I felt like was the Christmas where it was like, yeah, dude, like you're a man, dude. You're one of us, bro. Like all respect and love. And now we got.
Do you have the extended, or how do you?
Yeah, we usually just play 4-player though.
Okay, cool.
But I have the extension. I have the Seafarers, which is fun also. But now we got little Dono, who's my cousin's son. Okay. He's just a genius. He's like one of the most interesting people I've ever met. And he's getting up there. He's like 11. His mom's letting him stay up a little late with the boys. Uh-oh. So now like he's like, we don't let him play yet. Like he's not like quite. He hasn't earned his spot at the table.
He's soaking up that.
But we're like, yeah, you can sit. And this year he like sat next to me. He's like, hey man, can I be on your team? And I'm like, you can sit with me. You can root for me, and I love you. But I'm making my decisions. And sometimes you get excited when you look at my cards and you give it away. Yeah. So I'm like, you can sit here, but you can't give away my cards. Yeah. But I love you, and you're welcome here.
Yeah. That clear information is important
for sure. And so he's now. It's so cool to see like, Pietro's now moved up to that spot, which he has been for years. But I think he felt it this year. Dope. And now we got the next young buck coming up. Coming in. And there's room for more. There's another seat at the table, Hell
yeah, there's always room.
And it was so...
Except for when you run into the max of like 4 players.
Yeah, well then we'll expand. We got up to 6. Right. But the cool thing too was like right at like 1 a.m. he was like, I think it's time for my bed. And then he went to sleep and we're like, what, dude? You're like more mature than us. I can't get in bed before 3 down here.
Yeah. That's awesome. He's like, he's got that internal clock. He's like, yeah, it's time for bed.
For sure.
That's what's up.
Well, I think we're about there. I just wanted to give you the opportunity. First of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man.
And I know that you've kind of like made a re-entry to Instagram.
Yeah.
We didn't even really get into the comedy stuff, which we should talk about maybe in another conversation.
Yeah.
But, as with all my guests, if it's something that you want, is there, would you like people to connect with you? If they want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah.
I always like to give my guests an opportunity to share that if they want.
Hell yeah. Yeah, my cell phone number is 831-240-9256. Call me, y'all. If you need some love, just call me, But my Instagram is neal.quest.
Neal
Quest. And yeah, Quest is my middle name.
Yeah.
And neal.quest is my Instagram. And then, otherwise my cell phone and the home phone will be 415-488-4408, yo. Like, call the house, say what's up to Pops. Again, I'm leaving, so, so, it is what it is. But,
Well, that's amazing. And I just, I think we'll end, is there any like last piece of wisdom, any lesson you want to impart on everybody?
Yeah.
As a way of saying goodbye and good night.
Yeah.
Can we get a little bit of Neal lore to end this episode?
Let me breathe into that. Yeah, I would say let your light shine, yo. Like, be loud when you want to be loud. Like, take your space. And something I've been feeling into myself is like, don't take the dimmer off. And like, just be what feels good to you. And that can mean a bunch of different things, but for me, it's been this awakening of like, I have more control over my own life than I was ever really fully willing to acknowledge before. Like, I was kind of passenger driving, just chilling, letting stuff happen. And so stepping into my own life and being like, no, I want to drive. It's actually changed the way that I drive. Like, when I'm actually driving a car, I'm like, nah, like, I'm taking that. And there's a level of like, you can be cautious in your aggression and kind of like aware of your surroundings, but not constantly bending to like, oh, am I stepping on your toes?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been a cool little balancing act that I'm feeling myself. So yeah, I'd say let your light shine, turn your music up and dance always.
Beautiful. Well, dude, I love you so much. Thank you for coming on.
I love you, Hope.
And I'm excited for your move out to the city, and we'll be getting you out in some more East Bay runs.
All the East Bay runs, dude. Yeah, I'm going to be over here for sure.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's watch the dubs, boy.
Let's go.
All right. Thank you, everyone out there for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Woodacre, California.
Peace.
East Bay City.